So we spoke about perception. So say now, things that you perceive, directly looking at me, and everything else peripherally with the corner of your eye, even tactile, whatever, perceptions as a whole. What is a common characteristic to all of that? What would be a common thread? If you look at what you're feeling with, like on your legs, what you're seeing with your eyes, what would be the common thing to those?
My body being here, me being conscious.
Okay, yeah, but the characteristic, though,
characteristic.
the property, how would you describe like a certain unifying characteristic for all of it?
I'm conscious of the experience of whatever seen, heard, felt.
So you are conscious of the experience. How can you differentiate your consciousness from the experience you're conscious of? Is that possible?
I would say no.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I'm conscious. That's not really accurate, isn't it? That's like a common attitude, but it's not really a representative attitude. So it's you're only conscious, or you can only even think, I am conscious of this, because it's there. So I'm asking you, what are the properties of things that are there? How would you describe it in your own words? There's no right or wrong answer, as I said before.
Things, a characteristic of them being there.
So let's be more specific. So you see his body, you see that stone, you see this cave, you see the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have different attitude towards it. You might like this, dislike that. But I'm talking about things that you just perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever say in them? Do you ever say in how the... She got excited. Do you ever say in how the cave is being perceived?
No.
Do you ever say in how your eyes work?
No. I wouldn't.
That's the thing.
Glassy.
Do you ever say on how your legs are feeling the ground and whatever you're leaning on? Do you ever say in anything tactile you're exposed to?
No.
So see, that's the unifying characteristic to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're subjected to it. You have no control over it. Within things you're subjected to, that you perceive on all sorts of levels. By the way, even your thoughts. Do you ever say in how your thoughts appear?
I don't. No.
Impossible. Like it's actually even inconceivable to imagine how it would be if I were to have a say. You can't even conceive that. Yet, by not thinking about how impossible it is to actually entertain the notion of ownership of these things, that's how you entertain the ownership.
So you can respond to thoughts, but
Of
that's
course.
always just
You
a
respond
response
to
to something
thoughts.
that's already there.
In as much you respond to perceptions,
Yeah.
tactile, visual, audible, whatever. The point is, you can only respond to what pressures you. But I was asking you, what is the common thread to all things? And that's it. They pressure you. You have no say in their arising, which means you're subjected to perception. That's when I asked you earlier on, can you stop perceiving? You can close your eyes, but you're perceiving the inside of your eyes. Can you stop thinking? Can you stop having tactile sensations for as long as the body is there? Impossible. Yet somehow, despite all that overwhelming proof and like confirmation that you're not in control, people's minds keep maintaining the notion that you are in control of things you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, and think. No, you're only in control in regard to how you choose to act. Hence, karma and all the beings are owners of their action and responsible for the results of it. That is your like you're not responsible for how things are subjected on you. But how you choose to act on account of it, that's not in perception. That's not in the pressure. That's in you choosing to act out of that pressure. So that's why you can never ever possibly escape responsibility for your choice. Doesn't matter the circumstances, by the way. Oh, I had to kill him because he was a threat or something. Nope. You killed him because you chose to do so. There is no such thing as I had to do this, as opposed to I didn't have to do the opposite. That's why you cannot step outside of that responsibility by adhering to like an external set of values and so on. External set of values can help you gain the right perspective on your responsibility, but it's still on you. That's why even sila and virtue is a fetter to begin with. The first fetter, sila bhata paramasa. Fetter of virtue, sense of duty.
The fetter, in the sense that you see, you're not putting them in the right order. You're seeing them as
Well,
the,
you're not putting your responsibility first. You're not
Ah.
seeing that correctly. Which again, first you need to restrain acts of irresponsibility, such as sensuality, ill will, cheating, lying, stealing, and so on. So you need to keep the precepts. You don't know why, you don't see directly why, you have some notion. But if you do it, you are restraining your irresponsible actions, actions that are based on avoiding responsibility. And that's how you get to discern the responsibility in regard to it. But the point is that it all starts by recognizing that things you're subjected to, you are subjected to, you have no say in them. And that's including your own perception.
in the suttas, when they're describing, like perceiving the solidity. So you're determining through your thoughts. I mean, it's all given to you. The body's there. You're subjected to it, and you're supposed to see how you're subjected to
No,
that
you're not.
perception.
You're not supposed to see anything. You're supposed to stop craving in regard to how you feel. That's it. So if on account of that, towards that goal, you get to understand the nature of solidity, which it's nothing other than basically understanding something more primordial than your sense of self, something more fundamental, something that's cannot be your sense of self, yet your sense of self depends upon it. That's the point. Not like I must follow this perception and figure out that perception. It's all for the sake of preventing you from craving towards how you feel. You can't choose to not crave because it's going to be rooted in craving, but if you set up the order rightly, you can simply make yourself unable to crave.
And so that can be done by developing certain perceptions, because there are certain perceptions that reveal that.
Exactly. Certain perceptions
That
will be resulting in the right order
yeah.
more accurately.
Which is why.
But again, unless you have a notion of what the right order is, there is no right perception for you.
Yeah.
If you start in the wrong order, but know that there is the right order, can you apply the perception to reach the right order?
You have to keep trying. That's the point.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
With
in order
faith.
to do it accurately, yeah, with a degree of faith, yeah. In order to do it accurately, you must not forget that it is the wrong order you're going through. So don't lose the context that you're actually seeking the right order recognition of it, which is not at the end of certain set of perceptions and so on. Oh, I do this or I do that. It's right there with you, and you're not seeing it because it's too close to your point of view, and you're not used to seeing things so close. And by close, I mean right there, but not directly visible. It's like learning to see things without looking at them. See, I'm looking at you, but corner of my peripheral vision, I'm seeing other things. But you don't think about things that are peripheral. You think about what you attend to. So you want to learn how to start discerning peripheral without needing to move my face and look at the peripheral, because that's not peripheral now. Now that's, which was peripheral, is now directly visible, actual for me. Now you're peripheral. The point is understanding the nature of peripheral, not what's in peripheral, what perception is in peripheral. You want to understand the nature of seeing things without needing to look at them. That's like the how did we refer to the internal eye, so to speak.
So seeing, and what's implied by that seeing, that I'm seeing something. So
What's simultaneously there
body's
is
implied
peripheral
by
to seeing. Yeah.
seeing.
Well, it is, but again, what are you seeing? Whatever you're seeing, there is peripheral to that thing that you're attending to. That's already where your body is. It's on the level of the peripheral. So understanding the framework of peripheral without needing to look at it. Same works for the thoughts, by the way. There is a thought present, but then there's all this other peripheral context to it. So that's how you get to understand, when we spoke before, like motivation, intentions behind your actions, because they're always peripheral. Reasons why you're doing such and such thing is not in you attending to that thing visibly. You attend to that thing visibly and actually and tactily because there is the intention to do so, which is peripheral to it, which is determining your set of actions.
that generally the direction is going to be not so much that the peripheral is implied by what I attend to, as if it's kind of secondary to it. It's actually the way around. That everything that I'm doing now is undermined by something beyond.
That should be hopefully the realization. Now it's because I look at this, all of this is peripheral. But then the time comes when you get used to that, you realize, no, all of this was peripheral until I looked at that, which means everything else has stayed peripheral. Which means peripheral is more fundamental than whatever you choose to. And the only reason you could look at it is because it was given as an option within the peripheral. If this thing was not there on the level of everything else that's peripheral there, I couldn't have singled it out. So that's when you realize the peripheral is actually more fundamental than the actual. And you can do that on the level of visual as well, if you need an aid, so to speak. So if you are looking at the dog now, and I must think about peripheral, can you learn how to see peripheral while you're looking at the dog without stopping to think about the dog? As in, I become glazed, I don't forget what I'm actually seeing, and I'm thinking about everything else around me. No, now that became actual for you. So, no, I am looking at the dog for whatever reason, and there is all this peripheral around me. And it's not the point to figure it out, the point is to learn how to be, how to not completely ignore it, the peripheral, without giving to the need of attending it directly.
It's like
so what's the overall feeling you have now while we speak? Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral?
Neutral.
Neutral. That's already peripheral to any action you're doing, any situation you're involved with. It's there enduring. If it weren't there, you couldn't have given me the answer. You wouldn't even my question would not have been intelligible to you. Huh? But you understood it. Which means that feeling is there. And it's still there enduring. Time is passing, it's the same feeling enduring in a course of time. The same peripheral framework.
Sort of like when driving a car, you can't be putting your line of vision like this way, that way, like all the time. You need to have a basic sense of the space.
And you mustn't take your eyes away from the road. So you can't even afford to attend to the peripheral.
Otherwise, you could crash, someone will get
killed.
Exactly,
So the point is then to learn how to discern what you're feeling without needing to, because you can't look at what you're feeling, you can't perceive your feeling. So what are you attending to? You can't even attend to it in that sense. So that's why the Buddha said his teaching is for the one who knows how to feel, as in who knows how to feel, as in knows what the feeling is in itself. And he feels it without the need to attend to it and start to perceive it. Because usually that's the idea, I get this, let me look at it to get the clarity in regard to it. No, that if you go to the particular way you can attend, that's not where the clarity is. Clarity of things, it's in its nature. And that in itself is peripheral.
Or there's a sutta where the Buddha says there's nothing more that needs to be done by someone who's fully understood feeling.
Exactly. It's the ultimate context.
Just to understand what feeling is.
Yep.
That's it.
Thorough understanding of the peripheral context of the feeling, or simply thorough understanding of feeling, because it's always peripheral, means absolute removal for any slightest basis for craving to be there. No craving, there is no more work for you to do. And by the way, it's not about some future feeling or something later on. It's about the current feeling you have of the neutral kind. That is the point. So yes, stay in the present without attending to the present, but discern it instead. Because you can't attend to your feeling. It's not an object there that you can look at. Hence, feeling feels, perception perceives, as the Buddha said. Not perceiving feels and feeling perceives.
It would be like thinking, it would be like trying to perceive feeling, but what I'm really just perceiving is my thought.
Exactly.
In regard to
but you have a view that you are perceiving the feeling. And that's why you'll never then make effort to feel what the real feeling is. And that's why you will never make the effort to remove the basis for craving. You'll be unable to. But if you learn how to feel, as in not to try and perceive it, but realize it doesn't matter what you perceive, it cannot be felt. Feeling can be felt. Simultaneously, they're peripheral to your perception. Then you're becoming much more familiar with the necessary basis for craving. And craving, in order to be there, requires the ignorance of the necessary basis for craving. Thus, understanding feeling removes craving. Non-understanding feeling maintains craving. There is nothing else in between you need to do. So understand the peripheral, the background of your mind now while we speak of that neutral feeling. Understand its characteristics, its properties, its nature. And you get to understand the right context, and you get to re-establish the right order. Did you ever say that feeling being manifested, or you just found it?
Just found it.
But can you not feel it? Can you not feel any pressure of it?
There is pressure.
It has to. It has to. Always. So you just found it, yet you're subjected to it. Is it then right to say that that feeling is yours, in your control, obeys your will? Is it even right to say that that feeling knows about you? How can it even know about you? You don't exist for it. Yet here you are, living your whole life revolving on account of how you feel. And it's always been like that, and always will be like that, unless the mind develops itself out of it. Yet that feeling doesn't even know who you are. You don't exist for it, literally. You cannot exist for it. In the same sense, upadana cannot exist for the five aggregates. Not knowing that, upadana is there in regard to them, as the Buddha said. So understand that indifference of whatever feeling is there. Doesn't matter if it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Indifference to you, to your life. And then you will also understand what it means, or rather what it was before, when you were subjected to it and when you needed to act out of that pressure. Pressure for pleasure, pressure for getting rid of pain. It's only done so, you only act out of it because you still kind of don't understand that pain and pleasure are indifferent and your actions are equally insignificant to it. Your actions cannot make a difference to the fact that you're subjected to feelings. Your actions are only secondary result. Your response, your kind of desperate response towards being subjected to feelings. But if your actions would make a difference to it, well, you would have already been free from being subjected to feelings, because you acted every possible way in this life. You said yes, you said no, you said neither, you abstained, you were unclear. All of those movements, the pressure was there, made no difference to it. So you want to understand that pressure doesn't care about your movements, doesn't even know about them. So then you can restrain the movements. They would be perpetuating need to move, which is movement of desire, greed, aversion, anger, distraction, delusion, carelessness. And again, that's what Buddha said. You can't stop the pressure, you can't stop thoughts, you can't stop the perception, but you can stop acting unwholesomely out of it.
Because you understand that it's indifference in regard.
You understand
to
the nature of it. You understand that you cannot partake in it, you cannot command it, you cannot will it, you cannot control it. Thus, any attempt at controlling it becomes redundant. You're only attempting to control it because you still have an implicit view that you can, in some manner. And for as long as you don't remove that view, you are not removing desire and lust and anger.
So any attempt to control that feeling or get rid of that feeling becomes meaningless.
Exactly, utterly meaningless. Lust becomes utterly meaningless. Anger, acting out of anger becomes inconceivable.
Yeah.
Not because you need to go through the psychological movement, anger is bad, anger is not good.
Yeah.
No, it's just inconceivable to do so.
There's no need for restraint.
No.
It just doesn't make any sense anymore. calm down.
Yeah. She still has that wild side to her. Well, she's been with us, 3 weeks only. But she's quite good. Quick learner. So that's what I mean. Like, even when you read the suttas and all these perceptions of this and infinite space, one step at a time. As the Buddha said, even in terms of like jhanas, if you, a mind wants to enter second jhana, hasn't even established itself, become familiar with the first one, you'll enter neither. You'll establish your mind upon neither. Because it's the same principle that's just being refined further and further. So if you haven't even established the basis of that principle, how can you refine it when you have nothing to refine? So it's always come back to either present situation of the body posture, whichever way it's enduring, perceptions you're subjected to, feeling that's enduring peripherally. That is the framework. And by the way, you don't need to understand more than that. Understand the body being present there on its own, indifferent, ignorant of you, doesn't even know about your existence. Understand that to the extent necessary for removal of all the lust, aversion, delusion, and you'll be an arahant. And no need to think about perceptions of infinite space and so on, because you already covered it.
In the suttas they speak of, in regard to that, you're saying that's just the baseline of what you need to understand to be liberated, free from suffering. But they were arahants that had extended knowledge in regard to
extended knowledge, but
jhanas,
doesn't matter how extended it was, it was within the thing you understood.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an extra, an addendum or something like that.
But some people sort of conflate that all arahants had jhanas.
Yeah, they conflate with all this diversity of knowledge and all these different things you get to figure out.
But
no, it's just different aspects, more refined aspects within the same frame of the same thing, which is suffering and freedom from craving in regard to it.
That's why the Buddha was able to distinguish between different types of arahat.
Yeah, they're all arahants.
Yeah, but you got the body witness with the arahats. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
Like the
resolved upon with wisdom.
Yeah. The ones who were liberated both ways, they were arahats, but just like different. Whether they'd gone through all these establishments of mind.